All right, guys, I think we are live. I'm just gonna wait a little bit till everything kind of comes together. Right now, YouTube's giving us excellent connection, so it's looking good. Hope you guys are having a great start to your December. A second here. Let's check out the morning watch list. There's a lot of stuff moving today, and I put four things for the first time on the watch list. Uh, Usually I try to focus on three because we only end up trading one or two anyway. But there's just a lot of interesting biotechs moving, and I kind of wanted to talk about several of them. So let me go ahead and share my screen quickly. Do, do, do. I have everything in reverse. Right now I'm using my primary screen. My laptop screen is what I'm sharing. Usually it's the other way around when I'm in Berlin. So I got to get used to that. Okay, and one last thing here. So we got 14 minutes to the market open, so we got plenty of time. Let's dive right into it. So the first thing I'm looking at is EVFN, and the reason I'm looking at EVFN, it's a little bit bigger on our market cap. We have 285 million market cap, but a 32 million float, so under the 50 million float that we're typically looking for. It's up 50% after hours. It's a biotech, a huge breakout. Not really holding its highs too well, but let's check it out. Big positive results on STD trial. So let's go ahead and check that one out first. So usually what I'll do, give you guys a quick little recap. I'll do my scan right here. I click scan and I say yes. These are all things moving over 4% pre-market. I should probably even go ahead and increase this one today because today things are flying a little crazy. So let's just make it 8%, see what comes up. One second. Sorted a little bit. So after I do that, I go here and I click save as watch list. Then I move that watch list over here and I could kind of see what my gap scanners are for today. The first one, EVFN, you can see here 286 million market cap, 46 million shares outstanding, dollar volume pretty low. But let's start with the larger kind of scan for now. What I really like about this one is the fact that it had a reverse split, so that's not really too good. There's definitely going to be a lot of dilution in here. I haven't checked there are any 10Qs or anything yet, but it's pretty obvious just because of this giant drop we had. Then we're kind of seeing some support maybe or some new resistance in these areas at the 15 and at the 12. So I doubt that we're going to be able to kind of break through these areas. We probably even move this way back here. There we go. So yeah, big resistance above. And then if you zoom in even more, this is really what I like about this one, is right here at this kind of 6.5 area. There's really a good amount of support because, we had a breakout from this level. We had some high, held support here and then kind of kept on bouncing off this level. So I'm just going to go ahead and identify this area and a little over here at the low sevens. So let's check out on the daily what we're seeing right now. And these are the two lines I just drew on the low sevens. Let's make sure the daily over here is looking good. So we had a big breakout to the upside here. This was, close to 50% breakout to the upside. We're having a pullback pretty strong, but right here in the $7 area, we have that first layer of support and then a second layer of support a little bit under that one. So I really like the general amount of support. And on the daily, this is going to look pretty crazy because we broke out all the way to $9. So if we come here in the bottom right, you can kind of see that. So that's a huge breakout to this area. And now we're having a big pullback. So this is going to be quite the gap up, honestly. So yeah, I think this is going to be pretty interesting. I'm not really sure how much more of a morning panic we're going to get on this one. Let's see here. So yeah, we're down over probably 25% on this one already, having a little pullback. Big support in this area though. This will be interesting. Let me see. I'm thinking if we should go ahead and place a limit order out on this one. Probably, I think I'm gonna. Last time when we placed the limit order too close to the opening bell price, we got executed way too quickly, and I didn't really want that. And that kind of put us on a little bit bad projection for the day. We could have ended on Friday positive, but it was a small loss that day since we didn't have proper portfolio allocation. So that was kind of a mistake on my end. Um, so let's see what we can find here. I really like this kind of $7 area. I think there's really big support in this area. So I think there's a good chance that we're going to have a little dip down to this area, find some support, have at least a small little bounce. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of identify that. Move it auto send. I'm just going to play around with the price a little bit just so we have one ready to go. And this is going to be on our cash account. It's right around the new range that we're looking for. With our new portfolio allocation around 13, we're looking for more like a little under 1300. So I'm going to go ahead and put this at 180. Perfect. We're gonna have this one ready to go. Now I would rather have an entry closer to $7, but I'm gonna put this one just a little bit below. So we are ready to capitalize on this trade and maybe move it up, and we're gonna have our general idea of what our ideal position size would be. So around that kind of the $200 mark. What I would really like to see is a panic past $7. And if the selling slows down in the $7 area, there's no major dips, then I would like to move up our limit order and buy on the way up. So that's what I'm looking for, a little morning panic red to green move. Let's check out the next one, SAVA. We still have 8 minutes till the market opens. Now this one's going to probably move a lot faster. 25 million market cap, 50 million float. Biotech up 20%. Now these guys are only in phase 2, so no crazy news, I would say. But the crazy part, what I like about this one is just how they're holding pre-market. So they ran up pretty nicely, and now they're really holding this area, and they're not really overextended or anything like that. If you go to their long-term view, the only problem is every time these guys have a little break to the upside, they just get completely crushed. And on top of that, they also have these big dips, so I'm sure there's a lot of dilution on here. Again, I didn't check the dilution on this one either, but I'm going to be focusing on that I think later today, where I'm going to review a lot of my stocks that I've been trading, look into dilution a little bit more. Maybe we could take a quick little 2-minute detour and check this one out, see what we find. Also, if this is too loud, let me guys know in the chat, because I have the window open right now and it's blowing pretty hard, but I think it might be fine with the microphone. Good morning, Sebastian. So we got a 10Q that came out really about 2 months ago. Actually, more like a month ago. It's pretty recent. Let's see here. Common stock. Shares outstanding. Okay, they changed the format a little bit. I was looking for this number to be a little bit closer to over here. So 17 million shares outstanding. That's interesting because FinViz actually says something else. Shares outstanding 16.7. I mean, pretty close. Let's get that. 15 million, 15.2 share float. Let's see if there are any warrants right off the bat. Okay, so the warrants went down. They've been being exercised already. Dilution. Let's see if we can find a price. So a lot of financing activities, it seems like, in terms of how these guys generate profit. At the market. All right, so I haven't found an exercise price for these shares. Not saying that there's not one, but it looks like at the market, so these the shares they're selling are just kind of being dumped consistently into the market. Um, Now they do need to, since this is a Nasdaq stock, they do need to hold above the $1, or else they will get delisted. I'm sure they got a nice delisting notice right here at the 0.76. So ever since then, they've been working hard to pump this one. But this one really doesn't excite me too much. I'm gonna go ahead and here put an alert here, create alert, be low. Or if we break above this area, should be interesting. One last one I want to quickly look at, ASLN. Um, this is one we've been trading quite often, and pre-market looking pretty good, but then kind of selling off here in the $8 area. Now this one, ASLN, they are constantly breaking really big morning rallies, but then they completely sell off almost every time in the afternoon. None of their breaks have really held. So again, now they're breaking again really high to the upside, but nothing's really holding. So I'm going to go ahead and put a alert here. See if these guys break below. But usually in the morning is when they have that strong rally. So if we see this thing breaking above, might be time to quickly jump in this one. So I'm going to put alert here for above. So we'll see what happens. My main fix is going to be on EVFM. It's a larger company, so I think a morning panic could really hold well on that one. And ORMP, kind of rehashing some news. Tiny float though, so that's what I like to see. That's really what piqued a lot of my attention. And we're also close to this major support level at 4.5. So I think if we see some support come in here at 4.5, I would like to probably jump in on this one. So create an alert below. And yeah, this could be a really, really solid area. I'm going to go ahead and place a buy order here on our cash account, our margin account, 300. See, this is just about where we want it. Now, I would actually like to get a little bit rejected buying power. Okay, so our cash account, no, our margin account is actually looking fine. I'm not sure why that was not accepted. I'm still playing around with these accounts a little bit. November was the month where we kind of nailed it, I think. In terms of making a lot of the little mistakes. Make sure this is lower. 300. No, this looks good. This should have went through. To open cash account, edit at the right price. I'm gonna have this order that should be standing there. All right, I don't really think we're gonna have much bigger of a dip in this area, but I want to be ready for any sort of dip. So those are kind of the two things we're looking at right now. EVFM. I'm going to put this one here, EVFM. So let's see what kind of panic we get on this one. 30 seconds till the market opens. Now, I don't want to be too quick again. I just want to be really calm, collected. If we don't make any trades in the first 15 minutes, that's actually all the better. One less thing to worry about. So, just keep it really cool and relaxed. So that's going to be our goal. And let's see if something's really flying high. And again, guys, let me know if it's too loud to have the door open to the porch. I'm not really sure if it's too loud. For me, it sounds fine, but you never really know how it sounds for you guys. All right, nice smooth start. You can see that here the big gap up. Always like to be a little bit more reserved on Monday. It's totally fine if we miss big moves to the upside after a weekend of no trading. Especially last week, we didn't really do much trading either. ASLN is really making some moves. ONTX. Big rejection here at the $7. This thing might just completely collapse today. I'd be very careful with this one. Huge gapper at the 5. You know, if this holds the $5 area, that could be a really nice point of entry. I don't really think we're ever going to collapse, or not ever, but today collapse down where my order is. It looks like EVFM isn't really moving as much as we were expecting it to. I'm going to go ahead and put an alert a little bit below it here at the 717. Create alert. Let's check out what's moving. Yeah, REVFM isn't really doing too much. SAVA finding some support here and already had a little bounce at the 1.6. So basically the low area of the morning gap. So much resistance above this one, but we kind of broke out from all these former levels, so this one could really run. Big sellers though, a lot of sellers in the order book. I'd be careful with this one. I'd be very careful. Kind of a lot of selling off going on. Oops, sorry. ORMP also a little slow. Let's see what's really moving. We got CLVS, big dollar volume. Let's check out this one. $7% up already. Now this one's already overextended. This one might really, when this one fails, this one might fail really hard. So definitely don't want to keep watching this one. I'm going to put alert here under 16. That actually might just go off already. Yep, CLVS is really tanking hard. 16 is trying to hold, but they already had that failed breakout, so a lot of momentum spilling over. I'm going to go ahead and remove some of our limit orders. Just we don't have to worry about them too much. Don't want to be placed in a trade. I like what's happening with the EVFN. This is kind of what we were expecting. A little bit more of a morning panic. Sometimes I really just place those limit orders just so I can see where I would like to get in, potential adjustment in price, or I place them below where I would want to get in. But I just have a general idea of price in my mind and position size. I think sometimes I don't want to be calculating that at the last moment, especially since, you know, right now we're dealing with some small position size issues. ASLN below our marker. Here we go, breaking to the upside. All right, if we break above this $8 area and have a little pullback, that could be a really nice entry. Big volume coming in here. Remember, guys, this one had a lot of rehash news, a lot of just news over the last few days, big volume. I mean, this thing's been moving consistently, but it always had those failed failed to hold the spikes, and it looks like it was just halted due to volatility. So this thing might really break up higher. Halts usually last around 5 minutes. Yeah, Sebastian, you with your large caps, Nasdaq's down, a lot of the growth stocks, um, which I feel like is a large portion of that portfolio. It's going to be taking probably a little bit of a beating, down 0.2%. So I think ASLN is going to be a really interesting one to watch today. I think this thing has a lot of upwards momentum potential. This is the weekly chart. So let's quickly jump on the daily chart. You can see in the last few days, it's just had a constant rally to the upside. And it's always had these kind of morning spikes and then kind of failed a little bit. So let's see what happens. If we break 10, I mean, this thing could really fly. But right now, there's no really major resistance anymore. That big resistance was at 730, I would say. Right around here, you can see that, constantly failed breakouts from that area. So if we try to get on a bounce here, somewhere in the high sevens, could be quite a nice entry. We're gonna have to reduce this share a little bit. Put it at 60. Fun fact, Apple passed 4% share market cap of the S&P 500. That's actually pretty crazy. Nice little fun fact for sure. I'm interested to see how this one reacts after it gets unhalted. Should happen in a few minutes here. I'm gonna put a alert, create alert. ASLN has some of the more market cap, dollar volume. CLVS is also making some serious headway today. Didn't really hold that spike though. I want to be really cautious with ASLN simply because it doesn't hold those morning spikes as well that either. It had that red to green move, really nice. So let's see if we can get a little breakout and then a continuation to the upside. We broke above that flat top with some serious volume. The selling was pretty aggressive though this morning. Another reason why I want to be a little more cautious. So, I love the pattern, but again, this thing is a bit overextended all the way from 0.35. So, it could just be a lot of shorts getting squeezed, which I wouldn't be surprised is the whole entire thing that's going on here, up 2,000%. I mean, that's just absurd. But I mean, this one has the momentum on its side, and it can still get squeezed a lot. $10, it has that double top. So I think we might see a bounce back to $8. I'm not really sure if we're going to get a bounce all the way down to 7.5. Just going to get my limit order out of the way and be ready for auto send. So 7.65 could have actually been a pretty good bounce. We would have got our 40 cents, but you know, moving a little quickly, so don't really feel comfortable with it, so I removed my limit order. Okay, especially that 2,000% increase made me a little shaky. I probably would have wanted to get out of that trade right away. Wow, what a dip, huh? Big sellers. That whole, I think this one's that overextended runner again. So I mean, it just got halted in this area again. So this thing might crash really heavily. So it was a good thing we moved our limit order down. It's always better to be cautious. 3 companies before did that. I like the large cap research that we got going on here from Sebastian holding down the large cap fort. ASLN, guys, is going to be the one to watch for now. I love how this thing is just flying in both directions. I'm going to wait for a crash on this one. That failed breakout. This is usually why I don't trade breakouts as aggressively, and you can see that. I mean, I already put my limit order way below it. I'm just not an aggressive breakout buyer because you can get stuck in these things very quickly. That's just not my favorite thing to do. I mean, 18% crap on that one. So we have a reminder here at $6, and we'll keep an eye on this one when it opens. SAVA. Looking pretty good. It looks like it really wants to break higher. This one has a really consistent movement to it. You know, it may break above that 1.76 pre-market area. While we are waiting for this EVFN stock to get unhalted, make sure to take this time and hit that like button if you guys have not done so already. It's good to let YouTube know you care. All right, let's see what's going on here. 1.74 seems like a pretty fat area of sellers. But this thing's constantly making new highs. I mean, I like this one. Good momentum to the upside. Small float. I just don't really like how it's constantly being sold off into. So, you know, again, that makes me very cautious about this one. But I would say, you know, this thing has a good chance of maybe running up to $2, especially if it breaks that $1.76 area. Here we are testing that high. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the double auto send. It's really important when you change the quantity to always press enter afterwards. That's been one of my biggest issues. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm gonna go ahead and put 1700 on this one. So we have big sellers here at 1.78, and it looks like, you know, those are the same sellers that are kept on, you know, moving the price lower here. The thing I'm not really stoked about on SAVA is just the fact that the news on it is more or less non-existent. I mean, phase two, it's good, but it's not your typical, finance secured or, big FDA approval or big contract winner with a large company or the government. It's not. It's more of like a big, question mark news. So I think this breakout could be kind of weak, and it's also not really making me too excited. Let's check out ASLN. Yeah, so ASLN is the one on the watch list. It's gonna get unhalted now in just any second now. Actually, just now. Here we go. Back on it. All right, this thing is flying down. We might see some support come in here at the 5. People love those whole numbers. So I wouldn't be surprised if 5 was a little turnaround zone. Um, what I would want to wait for personally is for the 5 to hold and maybe break a little bit, but not too fast. Jumping in on that would be kind of interesting. So we have the first bounce happening now. 15% bounce already. Huge bounce. Buying at the $6 would have been pretty aggressive, or the 5.8. I'm going to put an alert here again, just to kind of follow these things. Remember, guys, you never have to trade. Sometimes the best trade you can make is the one you don't make. Especially, when you're still working on your strategy and your foundation a little bit, like we are. And that's why we're doing the small accounts challenge. Just to get back into things a little bit after not trading for so long. EVFM. Check what this one's doing. Okay, so this is exactly where we originally wanted to potentially get into it, at the 6.9 area, especially if it was holding this area. The reason this one has a little bit bigger of a shares float as well. So this one doesn't move as quickly. I'm going to create another alert just to kind of follow this one, kind of get a feel for it, especially because we're approaching, 20 minutes now, the market opens. So sometimes the price starts stabilizing in this area and maybe having reversals, bounces, and things like that. I'm going to go ahead and create this alert. So that could be really what we're starting to see on several of these. Let's go back to SAVA. This one really is trying to break out that high, but 1.76, a lot of sellers in this area again. I just don't really feel too comfortable with any of these stocks today. I wouldn't be surprised if ASLN got halted again. It's definitely a good chance on that. HEPA. HEPA's being HEPA. Kind of just selling off. Yeah, we've been trading HEPA quite a lot, but I'm happy we're not touching it today. It's not really something I want to be looking at. A bit overextended as well. You got to really watch out with these overextended stocks. CLVS is flying in all directions, but very choppy. Not a lot of percentage gaining. Just big dollar volume. Just because of that giant market cap. If anything, we should probably be removing this one from our watch list because it's not what we want to be trading. Also, EVFM, which was our kind of top pick for the day, is not really moving that much either. So, this is one of those snorers, and we oftentimes get stuck trading a snorer. And, another thing that I might not really want to be looking at either It's really SAVA that's piquing my interest, and ASLN for that huge morning panic. I'm really waiting for a bigger morning panic. I'm sorry if we're getting a little choppy here. I see that I get occasional error message from YouTube saying we're not getting enough data. So yeah, I mean, hopefully the buffering's not too bad. Right now, it is serious issues that need attending. We're having a really poor feed, and there's nothing I can really close out that would help that. Um, so let's just hope that it's not too bad. And also that it gets better. ASLN is definitely where the money is at today, just in terms of, that really nice dollar volume. Um, some of these bounces are ridiculously nice. This could be the one that cracks heavy though today. After that failed breakout, I've noticed that there's usually a lot of selling pressure that continues. It's not usually as strong though as that first initial failed breakout. Um, but I think there's a good chance we'll see that $5 be hit today. It was caught on the VWAP lower area. That 15% bounce was pretty nice. I'm just happy we removed our limit order. All these little mistakes that probably could have messed us up in the beginning, I've gotten way quicker at, and that's why I was a little iffy with starting a large position, starting with a large account size, because I knew, if I make one of these small errors, placing a limit order, removing a limit order on these small caps, it can be pretty bad. So I'm happy that we're just getting comfortable with the platform and putting more time into that. I'm keeping a close eye down here on the bottom left, SAVA. I want to see if it can maybe break out past the 1.76. It seems like some of these dip buys are potentially the way to go with it. So I definitely don't want to miss a break above this area. I'm going to make sure to create an alert here or I'm going to make it above this area. And then we're going to go back to ASLN 6.6 right now. Oh, that's a pretty cool looking jet flying above. We just need to make a few more of these day trades and eventually we'll be in one of those jets too, right guys? Leave a like if you want to see one of these trading videos from a jet soon. There's a lot of eager beavers on this ASLN. Big sellers though, 6.75, huge amount of sellers. We are still green on the day. All right, here we go, breaking to the upside. I personally wouldn't feel comfortable buying here. We got the VWAP at 7, we got 7 at 7, which is a big whole number. We had that fail breakout at 8.18. I feel like there's a lot more reasons to maybe be going short than to be buying this potential break. So I don't feel comfortable with it, but everyone can do whatever they want to do. That is just my personal stance on this current setup. We're back to excellent connection, so that's really nice. We got 8 concurrent watchers. It's pretty cool. If you guys are totally new here, consider subscribing, hitting that bell icon. I'm going to do a recap video after most trading days. I would say all trading days, but since last week we were traveling, I didn't get all of them, so you never know if I'm going to miss a day or not. But I'm trying to always get the days in. But when you're on the road, easier said than done. And trading is also not my only source of income. It's my main source of income, not only. So I got to work on our other company, Vice Offers, which takes a good amount of my time. This $6.75 area is quite an interesting spot. So yeah, it looks at the moment like not entering here was the right decision. Again, I just see more risk than anything in this area. Let's keep watching this one. I really like how this is moving. All the other ones in our watch list weren't really doing too much. I mean, this thing went up 20% in just this is the minute chart, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 minutes. I mean, imagine making 20% in 8 minutes. I mean, this is what we want to keep watching. Let's check out the tick view, just for pure curiosity reasons. Big sell off here, right? Getting rejected, failed breakout, failed breakout, failed breakout, forming a little flag here, a little flag pattern, and then a continuation to the downside, and then buying on this bounce right here could have been really interesting. So in this case, buying the tick view would have been pretty good at this low $6 area as the 6 kind of turned around, so shifting the momentum here. This could have been a really good entry right here, and kind of looking back at the trading day. We're getting close to the first 30 minutes of market open. I personally think we're going to get another break, big crash. This was the first big really bounce. That 19%, really nice, but I'm thinking we might get another one. If this was the first bear flag at ASLN, let's go to the charts. Let's really kind of play around here with a little bit. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. So we're on the 5-minute chart. Let's go now to the maybe 1-minute chart. This looks like it could be another flag. Big breakdown here. Potential breakdown here past the 4.5. Big support in this area. Yeah, I think the 5 could be great support. I would love to see a crash down to the 5s. That's another 25%, 30% crash. So that's what we're going to be looking for today. Otherwise, I probably won't be entering any trade with ASLN unless we really crack past the 5.5. And then I would love to maybe enter a trade there as we see some reversal on the order book. This would have been obviously the spot to go for that failed breakout. That's what I like to see right here. 33% rally in the morning. Little green to red to green move. Failed breakout, crash to the downside, finding support, buying that support bounce. That looked really good. We missed that one though today. I wasn't really 100%. I kind of felt it this morning, so that's fine. Let's go back to the 1 minute. All right, so SAVA is not really breaking out. It looks like just the sheer amount of sellers right here at the, if you look at the order book at 1.75, the level 2, you can just kind of see that there's huge amount of sellers right there. Let's check out EVFM. This was kind of our main one today. If we did buy at the 6.8 area, we probably would have been buying closer to the 6.9. Could have maybe scored a little bounce there, but this is one of those classic patterns that, or charts, tickers, I guess you can say, that we would put too much attention in and then kind of miss some of these other moves like SAVA and SALN. I'd be a little weary about buying the VWAP support right now since we had this failed breakout. Since sometimes when you have these failed breakouts, those VWAPs don't hold very well anymore. And then you have a dip past these areas. I'm going to go ahead and put an alert here. Big sellers on the order book at 6.7 right here. If anybody knows how I can move this level 2 over here on this side, I would definitely appreciate any feedback on that. I've been trying to do it, but it seems like it's a little bit hard-coded, and it automatically always comes back here whenever I remove it or add it. Maybe you guys have some ideas for that. Let's quickly just go down the list and see what some of these other ones are doing. ONTX. Big runner, huh? Had a little bit of a morning panic. Found some support on the VWAP and the EMA 15, and it just kept on rolling. And then big first panic could have been a really great buy as well. We typically don't trade anything under $1. Sometimes mainly because the spread will be too big. But this one looks pretty good overall. This one's also kind of somewhat of a channel, a flag pattern, and I kind of like it. I'm going to put an alert here if it breaks under this, create alert. Below. Don't want to look at too much. So ASLN is definitely red on the day, and yeah, selling pressure is mounting. I'd be pretty nervous on just blindly dip buying this one at the moment. Remember, guys, keep in mind this thing is up over 2,000% in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. 2,000% in 6 days. Even if this company did do something super amazing, which if we just remember here, big volume. Yeah, a lot of this news has been priced in already. Proof of concept of, yeah, I mean, positive data of a treatment. I mean, that's always good news, but anything that goes up 2,000% is probably due for a correction. Just looking at how we've traded this one in the past, we've traded a lot of the failed breakouts. Here you can see one of the big rallies, morning rallies, and then failed breakout. We bought near the EMA support, bounce on that one. Again, you know, this would have been a good one to do that on, but we missed this one. This breakout right here, it was looking pretty good. Um, that could have been a great breakout buy. But we missed that one. We really missed this one most days it ran. And today was kind of the first day that it didn't really run in the morning. It instantly sold off. So people are getting shaky on this one. EVFM 6.92, SAVA at 1.72. ORMP, the last one, the fourth stock on our watch list today, really not doing much of anything. Also, this one, you know, pretty overextended. ONTX, what we were just checking out. You know, I kind of like this one a little bit. But again, that order book, you know, just look at this. Look how sketchy that is. You can get caught on at the wrong price pretty easily. It's not really something I want to be trading. I'm still waiting for ASLN to crash a little bit harder, but you know, a lot of people did buying this one. But hey, the more people dip buying it, the more of a panic it can create if the price doesn't hold. Volume really falling off a cliff on this one. $6.37. Pretty big spread on this one as well. But it's easier to place position orders on it. All right, so we're getting close to 52 minutes now live streaming. You know, this has been a pretty fun live stream, and I think I'm going to continue it for a little bit longer. Usually by now we would have 1 or 2 trades in, but nothing was really pulling a pattern that we were trying to trade. ASLN could have been a nice breakout buy. We had a limit order here at 7.6, but then we removed it when it cracked super fast. I would have liked a slower pullback, and then I just got out of it. So that was good. You got to be quick on those. We're trying to break out to the upside here on this one. This could be a nice little breakout right here. I'm definitely not going to be trading that breakout though. But let's just kind of watch and see if we learn something from it. Try to break past it. Try to break past the 6.5. I'm going to go ahead and put an alert here just in case we miss one of these breaks. Let's say below, create. And I'll put another here, create alert. above. Definitely don't want to miss that. EVFM kind of finding some support and not really selling off much more. But nothing interesting at all. SAVA, that VWAP is really fighting hard. But again, nothing too interesting. The indexes are all down. NASDAQ is down 1%. S&P is down about 0.5. You know, the NASDAQ opened up at 8,400, so now it's down about 80 points. Yeah, 80 points. All right, let's go back to ASLN. So large caps are all selling off. ASLN is breaking to the upside here. But guys, if we're looking for about, 20 to 40 cents profit, this thing would have to run to $7, which could. But I still see a little bit more risk in this area. But $7 is definitely realistic. Could have a little double top, maybe sell before then in the 6.87 area. It's not really intriguing to me though. $6.52. Maybe that was just a little bounce to get people on the wrong side of the trade. Oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. We want to see you crash. We want to see you crash. I can't wait till I have my standing desk. Sorry, guys. This would be a perfect time to have an espresso machine next to me and I could just make a coffee right now. Just like, it'd be perfect. Waiting for another move. ASLN has really slowed down. We're about 45 minutes now since the market opened. So, as you can see, the first 15 minutes is really where all the activity happened. We didn't really jump on anything. I mean, this red to green move could have been the big one for the day. So maybe we missed, that trade. I do love those first morning panics. You never know how hard they're going to be. This one was about 11%. It's tough, especially when something is overextended like this. I mean, sometimes you'd expect a 50-60% dip. So it's hard to really catch those moves. Sometimes you'll have one of these first bounces, and then you have one quick wick where you can get out of the trade before it continues the downside momentum. So this one we probably would have just got faked out. What was that? SAVA alert. Looks like, yeah, the VWAP isn't holding on this one. Like we were talking about 10 minutes ago, when you have one of these failed breakouts, this one doesn't even have that much news behind it, just old rehashed news. Then the VWAP is no longer support. It's more, where there's going to be a few suckers buying that area, I think. Yeah, nothing really that clean going on here. I honestly think if we don't trade today, it'd probably be one of the better things that we can do. So I'm not worried at all if we don't trade. I really want to see ASLN crash. That's kind of where my focus is on today. I also want to see ONTX potentially crash. I'm going to mark this one. I keep looking at it. I don't like the price, but I do like the pattern. And we see these things crash all the time. but this thing just has, you know, plenty of upside potential. You know, we might break above this area right here, this little trend line to the downside. Let me just quickly. This should have been 10. Apply. I'm going to go ahead and save grid. Let's see. Day trader 2. This thing looks like it really wants to break above the 2.48 area. I like the volume coming in. EVFM is breaking down a little bit. Here we go. Clear break. Here come the sellers. This could be the time to do a dip buy. Again, I don't really want to trade this one, but this would be where a really nice potential dip buy can happen. Maybe about 2.5 clean. See if we can go to the tick view, see what that looks like. Yeah, this would have been the 1 minute pullback right there, or I guess you could say the 1333 tick pullback buy. That would have been it. ONTX. Let's quickly check this one out a little bit. $1.3 million market cap, tiny market cap, tiny float. So they were raising cash. It's just shady financing going on here. These guys, NASDAQ, they need to get above the $1 or else they will fully get delisted. Yeah, so they need to pump this thing hard or the future does not look good for ONTX. I think this thing is just going to be getting dumped onto retailers. But that doesn't mean the price can't fly up 1,000% till that, till that happens. It's already up 4% from that little breakout. You obviously don't want to be shorting something like this either, if you even can short it. I just see more room for this thing to fly, but also extremely risky for really everyone. Yeah, that could have been a really nice breakout. I think this would have been a good potential secondary breakout. It just wasn't really in that price point that I looked for. But right around here, this trend line, when this trend line was broken, anywhere moving into this upside area, this is where I was kind of saying, we could look for price pullback. I said more in the 2.5 area, so my limit order probably would have not got executed. But, if you chase this a little bit, probably be up around 4 or 5%, and this thing could probably break past the former high of 0.28. So I don't know, interesting, but also not really what I want to be trading. But good fun to watch this kind of play out. Let's go back to the 1 minute chart. Yeah, here we go. There you can really see it. If this thing breaks past the 2.8, I really want to kind of have that on my radar a little bit. Create. I just put it in the wrong one. I want to say above. Create alert. I'm going to say at or above. There we go. Again, what I'm really looking at today is ASLN. That's really the big one I'm looking at. I'm waiting for a bigger crash, probably below $6. I'm not really sure if we're gonna get it in the next 10 minutes or something like that. Um, but we'll see. It's definitely moving a little bit now. Here we go. If we bought, let's say at $6, we're not gonna buy. It's too big of a position size. We want to lower that a little bit. Waiting for a crash past, I would say past 5.75 and really closer to $5 is what I would be looking for. Ideally, even past $5 into the high fours would be um, what would make me really excited. Let's watch this one a little bit longer. Kind of have a little bit of time right now to just kind of relax a little bit. We have no limit orders out at the moment. I'm going to take this opportunity to do. Yeah, quick little restroom break. I'll be right back. I was just thinking how long this could take, but I think we have time. All right. All right, guys, we got a coffee being made. Good stuff coming. Nice little drop. Here we go. What else we got? So coffee being made. Um, this is right around the 5.2 area. So not, I would have not gotten in here, so I'm not worried about this. I want a bigger drop. Um, like I say, guys, if we don't trade today, that's just one less thing we have to worry about today, you know? I like how it went under the this VWAP support zone. This could be a dead cat bounce though. I'd be careful. Only 4%. Doesn't have me jumping for joy. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. SAVA. What happened here, guys? How did we miss this one? 1.55. Huge, huge dip. We would have never caught this one. So again, like these moves don't really stress me out because they're they're a little bit well, one, they're super unpredictable, and you don't want to be just catching a falling knife. And this one we would have missed anyway. We're trying to see something really dip hard as we're watching it, and then a reversal. We're not just trying to blindly catch these things. Here we go. ASLN is doing a little bit of moving. Now this bounce is looking a little bit more interesting. 8%. That's pretty good. Looks like this 5.5 area really held a little bit above it. These 5.5 areas are usually pretty interesting for traders. So that was a really nice secondary bounce. I was though expecting or hoping for a little bit bigger of a crash, so I don't think I would have entered on this one. This one happened very quick as well. Let's check out the tick view. So again here, just a little bit of hindsight trading recap. So we have the first morning panic pulling back here, little flag pattern, and then a big secondary bounce here. So that could be an interesting trade. And then if you missed all this huge run up here, this first big flag that was formed here, and then the secondary crash, and then a bounce off this area, 16% bounce, right? Now we're getting that again, big crash here to 5.55 on the lower end of the VWAP, 7% bounce. Really interesting stuff. Again, you don't want to blindly be holding these things and hoping, for a super big home run trade afterwards, because, there's just a good chance that just won't happen. Let's keep looking. Let's go back to the 1 minute view. We have also an alert here at 5.58. ONTX. So how cool is this? This ONTX came right back to this big support area. Bounced off a really heavy 4% bounce. A lot of trading opportunities, just looking for these dip buys. The market's going to start slowing down here in about an hour. I don't think we're going to be live streaming that long. We usually never do. But let's just be patient, see what happens, see if anything comes our way. ASLN is really having that nice bounce. But with the amount of failed breakouts this thing has had, I'm extremely cautious. And today looks like the first red day, and a lot of these bounces aren't really holding that well. And this thing is going to be very easy to short. Maybe there's not too many shares outstanding to short, but the price is really nice. CLVS is kind of is a crazy one. Since this is a bit bigger of a market cap, you know, some of these breakdowns actually could be quite interesting to be trading. Dollar volume is 250 million. So yeah, this thing's about 3 times the typical market cap that we usually be trading. But $14, you can see here is some big support. If we crack $14, any sort of dip would actually be really interesting. And I'm going to go ahead and put an alert here. I'm going to say create an alert for anything below $15, $14. I want to have this back on our radar. This double bounce right here could be the could be a reversal spot though. But again, CLVS is also super overextended. If you just check out their long-term chart, huge run up. So yeah, buying something that dips below $13 would be quite nice. Even the low 12s, but I don't know if we're going to get such a strong pullback today alone. EVFM is just selling off very aggressively. No big bounces. It's just dead. SAVA is a little nicer, but really choppy. No clear pattern on this one. Happy we didn't really end up trading it. ASLN, you know, you could argue that we missed this $6 bounce and this 5.58 maybe dollar bounce, but yeah, I don't know. Would have been nice to maybe be watching it at that moment, but I definitely don't feel any sort of you know, regret or, you know, frustration that we didn't catch that. Replace this alert. Kind of a fun trading day. Very chill. I like this. I could get used to this. It'd be even nicer if we had our standing desk, but you know, we just don't. So soon we will, and it will be. I've been waiting for it for 7 weeks now. I think it was. I ordered it 7 weeks ago. Disaster. I also have not been shaving. Let me know if you guys think I should shave. I'm not really sure yet. I don't really have a desire to, let's just say. All right, Wendy, let's check out what you are checking, looking at. CAGDF, mining company. I'm not sure if they're going to be on Finviz since they're OTC. My computer is really slow right now. It's because the streaming and the recording, there's a lot of stuff going on. I also have my TD Ameritrade set to a little bit higher usage. Ooh, this laptop is hot. Whew. They're not on Finviz. Yeah. OTC pink sheets. I like how they make everything pink on this site. Man, these guys are as quiet as it gets. No company information about them. Maybe it could just be my slow internet though. I'm waiting for a secondary crash on ASLN. I think we might get it soon here. I'm going to put CAGDF right here so we can check it out in a few moments. But this is it, OTC right here. Pretty nice little reversal. $0.4 volume. 2 million market cap. Yeah, that's tiny. Shares outstanding is quite impressive though. 200, almost 300,000. So yeah, this is probably not exactly something we would trade based on the float, but still really interesting. That's a lot of shares. I wonder what they're. Yeah, so they already had that giant bounce in this area. Just gonna identify that this $6 area is quite significant. 6.2 to probably low $6 area. Let's just go back to ASLN very quickly because this thing is dipping right now. So 5.65. All right. I'd be very careful buying this potential double bottom at the 5.5. This thing can crack hard, and if it cracks, it can just run. Buying closer to, I would really like this thing to dip under $5, to be honest. If it does dip under $5, I would put it right around this spike right here, where there's definitely a bit of support. Let me go ahead and just mark that area closer to 4.8. You have to remember this thing does have a pretty big market cap, and it also has, you know, decent amount, 46 million shares outstanding, floats around 36 million. So I don't think that the crashes that we're going to get are going to be that extreme. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. It's already down about 30%. Usually when something's down past 30%, the recoveries on it aren't that strong. I'm just going to watch this level 2 for a few moments. 5.78, 5.76. This 5.5 area may just hold, but I won't be trading it if it does hold. Again, I'm waiting for a crash on this one. About a 3% bounce from the low, about a candle ago already. Point 0.8 has a lot of sellers on it. Broke past point 0.8. Here we go. No, there's not a lot of these double bottoms that I see hold. Um, I'm usually extremely cautious about trading them. But here's a nice example of one that definitely worked. Would you be risking on this one is probably crack past 5.54, and you'd probably be trying to get out anything under 5.5, closer to before 5.4. Oh, 1 second. All right, I just got some coffee supply. Yes, this one has to do. Couldn't speak. This one was actually pretty nice. 5.5. Again, I would have not really took this trade, but since the fact that it is a larger market cap, about that 307 million now, with a higher float, these support levels are going to hold a lot better than a small cap. Sometimes small caps will rip through stuff, and you just have no time to get out of those trades. So I might have been too overly cautious, but that's fine. Let's go to the tick chart, see what that looked like. A potential entry after this held and on this 1 minute pullback or one tick pullback could have been interesting. Volume's really low. I'm going to give this day probably another 30 minutes of trading. SAVA had that failed breakout here at 1.76 this morning, and it just really wasn't ever able to amount to much after that. I'm going to go ahead and remove this alert, and what I'm going to do instead is put an alert here, see if we break under this area, create alert, and I'm going to say below, and move 1.5, was that where it was, 1.55? See if we dip below this. Definitely want to be alerted if that happens. EVFM, the big pick of the day, really not doing much of anything. If we come closer to this $6, I might even consider dip buying it. But all these bounces are just so weak. So, this dip would, potentially take, 30 minutes for you to see a decent return on any sort of bounce. But again, this could be actually quite interesting. I'm going to put an alert here below this area, create alert. Nice little pullback here to 5.97. ONTX. Also really nice, but again, this one, the big issue I had with this one was just its price, below the dollar. Now we can take this moment to really calmly check out CAGDF. Check this out. I just kind of want to talk about these whole areas. The 6.5, point 0.5 areas are always interesting. Even this big gap down it had, um, started around 7.5. Had some tough areas in here. Got rejected off the 7, continued its downward trend to 6.5, and now bouncing on its way kind of to 7. But, this thing's not moving really fast. So as a day trade, this one's kind of tough. But as an OTC, it actually has a really nice long-term chart. It's quite surprising. And if something has such a nice long-term chart, you think any big dip like that could be a great buying opportunity. We could probably even move these two lines way back over here. It's a little harder to see. Might not even be really that worth it, but there we go. Then we have a little bit of a range in here at the, under $6. But then the high 5 seems to be a big support zone. I personally wouldn't be surprised if you had a retest of this area. I feel like you see that a lot where you have one dip down, then you have a second dip down to kind of retest. So, if this thing goes below 6.25 maybe, it could be a really interesting entry for a support line bounce, I would say. Let me move this down. Maybe lower, 19, create. Put alert on that. Again, I don't know much about this company. They're not on Finviz because they're OTC. Finviz usually doesn't have OTCs. But yeah, I mean, quite a big pullback. Canadian mining company that's doing a lot of work in South Asia, or Central Asia, my bad. And the reason they are so far down today is what we were looking for. Plagued by several issues. That shouldn't be an issue it's having today. Seeking Alpha. Seeking Alpha loves covering companies like this. I'm having some computer issues today. This guy's talking about dividends increasing. That's it. I don't know if I would ever buy an OTC company because I'm interested in their dividends, financials. Yeah. I'm gonna leave that up for a little bit. So it looks like this would have been that, that possible second trade of the day. This bounce right here on the support, this double bottom support line bounce. Uh, I typically don't trade double bottoms. You oftentimes see something like this where you think this is the double bottom, and then before you know it, you get entirely crushed. So you got to really watch out with these. What I like to trade is initial bounces. So something like this one. Um, those typically give you a return, and you kind of know what you're getting into. This one, a little shaky, but definitely could have worked in our favor today for sure. EVFM is finding a small reversal in its downwards trend. ORMP, which was one of the stocks we had on our watch list, wasn't really doing much of anything, creating a super choppy pattern. I don't know. This one, I don't know how I feel about this. Potential first red day on this one for sure. If you just zoom in a little bit, big green day, second green day did come up here to the $6 area almost. Huge 180 tick moving average, kind of slaying, coming down on that price like a giant banhammer. I don't know if this one doesn't hold its highs, it could definitely fall out of the sky. We got CLVS, which we were hoping this one would, crash below this $14 area, but these large caps, like we're talking about with ASLN, just kind of hold their bottoms very nicely. I'd be very careful on CLVS just because it's also super overextended. We had some really nice trades on it about 2 weeks ago. There could be a good bounce trade actually in this area, but yeah, just the returns aren't really what we're looking for anymore. We're kind of approaching, yeah, we're almost at 11 o'clock. Hour and a half into the trading day. Here's HEPA. Now HEPA's oh man, this one's always been a tough one to trade. I've noticed, at least for me, somehow I always get caught on the wrong side of this one. Could have been an interesting dip buy, especially after so many pullbacks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are all really nice pullbacks. Decent, maybe 5% upside on this one. Yeah, so today might have not been our day. It looks like we probably won't place any trades today unless we get a nice crash from ASLN, which we have been waiting for. Again, it keeps kind of holding in this area. It has a small float, and it's getting a lot of nice dollar volume. So, the market cap's 200 million, so it's kind of large. But there is a good chance that it could crack these key areas. Huge amount of sellers. This is one of those moments where the standing table will come in handy. You do some curls, do some squats. And there's a lot of dip buyers trying to hold this price up. I'm going to give this a little bit longer. It's 0.27. Slowing down a little bit. I definitely wouldn't be going long on this, but I like the price action that we're seeing. Let's see if we can find anything else that was just really moving today. I'm going to go ahead and save this scan. This one. Scanner. Now this was the 8%. Now we typically move this a little bit lower to around 4%. Load scan carry. There's 3%. And scan this one. Volume of shares, market cap. This one's actually looking pretty good. Not really the price that we want. ASLN, that's already what we're looking at today. It seems to be the big one. And then OHRP, were we looking at OHRP? I like their tiny market cap and their shares outstanding. Looks like we're having some streaming activity issues. A little choppy. I apologize for that. I'm also not getting my charts loading for some reason right now. Yeah, not really too much activity. Again, OHRP that we just kind of found on our scanner. Um, Taking a little bit to load. I'm not really sure why this one isn't loading. The other tickers are loading fine. But no real news around this one, at least on TD Ameritrade. I'm not really sure why nothing's showing up on this.